Facial expressions are directly connected to your emotions. They're not something that you learn. There's literally muscles connected to your face that when you feel surprise, you feel anger, you feel any of these things, there's muscles that contract whether you want to or not, that show on your entire body, not just your face. That's why they call it body language. And they say that communication is mostly done throughout the body, not through speech. Alright, so that means what you're thinking is making your body contract, muscles contract in a certain way, and that people are seeing that even though you're not saying, even despite what you're saying, they see your body speaking because it's what you're thinking. Alright? Dr. Paul Eckman proved this in 1978 whenever he released the F.A.C.S coding system, which is a tool that is used by every intelligence agency and major corporation in the entire world. During Dr. Eckman's research, he identified 6 basic emotions: anger, surprise, disgust, enjoyment, fear, and sadness. In later interviews, he discusses how these 6 basic emotions can be combined to form all the other emotions we can experience. But I don't think it's a matter of combining 6 emotions. I think this is a matter of the body's natural systems that are in place, like the circulation system that pumps your blood, right? Your breathing, procreation, eating, drinking, acquiring food, defense. I think all of these systems have their own kind of electrical highway, for lack of better words, that the brain sends and receives information, sends electricity and receives it to all of these systems. And somewhere along the point, at some point of all these systems, each one is connected to not only a facial expression, but emotion and some other stuff, not only outside the body as a visible muscle that you can see, but also inside the body as something that you can feel, like whenever your stomach drops out, whenever you go down a hill really fast, or if somebody scares you, or like whenever you see something that, or smell something, and you get this, like literally a sicken to your stomach feeling, or you get so excited or so happy that you feel like you really physically want to try to do a backflip, but you don't dare try it because you know that may kill you. So all of these different impulses, they're connected to the different systems in the body, right? And so it's those, what happens is the brain, those are powerful, big old channels, right? Big old highways, or big old canals, right? The better way to think of it would be like a canal or some kind of big thing that water can go through. So if there was a big old flood, right, and you had a ditch, and the water overcomes the ditch, it goes into the canal, right? And the water is channeled that way. So when you have an electrical impulse whenever some of that energy goes down when you're doing something, some of the energy may leak out and go into a canal on accident. And it may be doing it with little things all over, because why? Because your mind is literally connected to all these things, are connected to your physical muscles inside and outside your body. That's why you're feeling something, is it's not hormones that you're feeling. Feeling is muscles contracting and relaxing, right? That's what you're interpreting as the emotion or the sensation, right? So when you feel something, that feeling, that's actually a sensation. What you're feeling is a series of muscular contractions. It's not hormones. Even if the hormones do exist, and some of them exist to make your body contract and relax, to make you feel or have the sensation of that specific stimulus. That's why people automatically have a tendency to blow up if they're always blowing up, especially if society expects them to blow up, because that energy is being channeled even though they may not blow up completely, society's channeling that energy up to that point to do that. And they keep doing that and doing that and doing that. That's why they automatically default to doing that. Same thing whenever they get sad, they get depressed. And they look at sad stuff and they get depressed. And then that's the exact same thing. You're literally exercising the hell out of these muscles, not just the emotions. When they say mind, body, and spirit are one, this is what they meant, right? So what you think, you become, you manifest what you become. It's real. They know this, all right? They figured it out, all right? And they didn't hide it. People have been saying it. It's just nobody articulates it in a way that people can understand. All right, so this is why that thing you're holding in your hand is so bad for you, all right? Because that is not a telephone. That is a little tiny computer. And so the big deal about that being a little bitty computer is this. So a computer is great, right? It lets you do a lot of things a lot easier that you normally would have to spend so much time and it would be hard to do. It may be impossible to do on a lot of most things, and in fact today. So, but let's just say typing, for instance, right? On not a phone, but a keyboard, you can do it really fast. Some of you can do it really fast on this phone. So, mini computer phone, whatever, you know what I mean. Anyway, so the action of typing is way faster because you don't have to draw out each letter, right? And so when you're drawing that out, you have to remember how that letter looks, and then you have to draw it in a way that you think will be legible to someone else. If that's what you're trying to make it to where they can read it. If you're just trying to scratch it, that's one thing, but even then you might not know what it is. So it has to be at least legible to you. So you're having to put a lot of thought, a lot of electricity you're sending very specifically from your brain to and fro to your fingertips. That is going all the way down to your hand, right? The most complex things that we have on our whole body, right? Very easy. These things have lots of little circuitry and functions. So that's why it's easy for your hands to get all scrambled up and to be using the wrong muscles, all right? So when you actually physically write, especially when you think about what you're going to write and you create something like a song or draw something, or art, any form of art where you're creating it with your brain to do that. So what you're literally doing is you're sending electricity from your brain to your fingertips and back constantly. And so what that does is that strengthens all the connections from your brain to your fingertips. The most complex thing. You're sending commands to it. All right? So that strengthens it. Second thing, all right, by strengthening your body, strengthening your other muscles, your abs, your butt, your legs, all of it, everything. Completely in a balanced way. We're not having too big of arms or too big of legs or being overweight or being underweight. Being balanced is what you have to be, is balanced. And there's no more time that is more important than today. The reason I say that is because, so if your mind is literally shaping who you are, and who you are is shaping your mind, and you are holding this thing in your hand, and this thing is literally, not only is it deactivating some of the muscles in your hand because you're not squeezing it, you're putting it just enough electricity to hold it and keeping your hand up in that position. So you're turning off different muscles in your hand and your neck and all this stuff. And guess what? Remember those muscles, they're all connected, right? So remember that, they're all connected. So if they're all connected, what else are you turning off? A lot. Now, what else are you turning off whenever you have reduced attention span? Because this thing, it just doesn't have to refresh anymore, and you just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and the videos are only 20 seconds long. So you're looking at them and flipping and flipping and flipping. That's why they encourage that. That's why the phones went from really small to really big, because in the beginning, people didn't want these fucking things. People didn't want them. I know for a fact they didn't want them. You know how I know? I used to sell these fuckers in 1998. I worked at Radio Shack. 1999. All right, so whenever they first really got popular, went from being big ass bag phones to being small, Sprint and Bell South and Singular and all these different companies that are offering smaller and smaller and smaller. And that was the trend, to get small phones. And then guess what? Once they came out with social media and they realized that they could get people to connect with each other, and they could trick them into using this software under the guise of connecting with each other, figure out ways, literally sink money into ways to make them more engaged, aka addicted, and then change the whole way the fucking platform works. And instead of their friends and family putting stuff on their wall, they got all kind of shit from everything but what they want to see. In fact, they're seeing stuff that they don't want to see that is really offensive being in front of them all the time. And it doesn't matter whether they choose not to see it and record it or not. It doesn't matter, because it continues. And it continues because they understand that literally when they flash images and put shit in front of you, they understand that has an effect. It's not just seeing it. It literally, when you see it, even though it may just be for a second, guess what? Just like that facial expression flashes on your face, no matter what you want to fucking do about it, somewhere, something's going to go off when you experience an emotion. Guess what fucking happens when you look at something? You fucking think something about it, and guess what happens? Some shit just flex, bitch. And when it flexes and flexes and flexes in the wrong, they know how to literally play this shit like a fiddle. These motherfuckers are the devil that came down to Georgia, and they're using this shit right here, this phone, this little mini computer, and more, to literally play you. To make you do what the fuck they want. To make you snap. To make you angry. To make you think that your friends and family don't care about you. And that you're all alone. And that God doesn't exist. Make no mistake about it. This is a spiritual war. Facial